Okay, so welcome to the Universal Guidance from the Universe TV. We have the most amazing person on the planet that I just love to death.
I received that.
You receive that. Receive it, baby. So we're speaking today, well, this is part of our Universal Entrepreneur Series. So with the Guidance from the Universe, we talk about life stuff and we talk about the things that we go through and how we can deal with it. Last week we talked about weight. Today what I want to do is I want to speak to the most amazing Maru Iabichela. Is that right?
That was great.
Iabichela.
You nailed it.
From the US, and she's going to talk with us today about how she pretty much uses the universal concepts and the processes. I'm going to talk about with you how you got to where you are now, and we'll just go with the flow and see what comes out. But I'm really excited to have you here because, as I was saying before we came on the call, as soon as you set up infinite receiving, which we can talk a little bit about at the end, as soon as you set up infinite receiving, I knew that was this is a guided process that you're going through. You're actually doing purposeful work here.
Yeah, it's not me. This concept manifested me to be brought into the world. So I feel like it's manifested.
Great. So what I want to do, and I'll just start with, Maru, I've known you for quite a while now. We've known each other online for a while, worked together in a few different capacities. And the thing that I want to do is really, even though it's taken off quite quickly, it has had that momentum to build up with other projects that you've worked on, and you're not new to this kind of industry. However, it takes the trial and the error to really work out what works for you, how to get there. And I want to take you back maybe to around the beginning of this year or even before then, when you were at that stage where, and I think I've read recently that you said that you were going to quit and you were going to go and get a job and you just had enough of things not working.
Yes, I've had that a few times actually. And so first of all, thank you so much for the invitation and for that wonderful welcome. I receive you thinking I'm the most amazing Maru in the planet. Yes, I believe that too. And I'm excited to share how I went from not like being miserable, following what everybody else told me to do, things that were not working at all, that almost landed me in bankruptcy here in the US without any money for gas 19 months ago, back in January 2015, to now having generated way over 300K. I'm well on my way to hopefully making $500,000 this year. In what feels like no time at all.
Yeah.
And as I just mentioned, when I started my business, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So I was just taking webinars after webinar, course after course. And I was just doing what everybody else told me to do. When I hit that point of, oh my gosh, I have no money, credit cards maxed out, I realized that something had to change. And I remember telling myself, this is not what I quit my job for. This is not what I sacrificed. Why I left the corporate environment and I had a pretty cushioned, good life. I said, this is not the dream. I'm not living the dream. I better get happy and figure it out, because if not, I'm going to go back and get a job. This was last January. And I had to do what I call the walk of shame, which is basically tell my family that I had accumulated $55,000 of debt, and I didn't even know it because I was keeping my head in the sand about this. I just wanted my business to work out, and I had a wonderful strategy of, I'll just get my business to 6 figures and pay all this debt off, and nobody will ever know that I have this debt. That was my strategy, and of course it didn't work. And so I had to tell my family, I had to ask for help because I literally had no money to contribute to the household. I had a baby, a 1-year-old. And anyway, so that was a pretty, that was a crossroads for me, for sure. It was either make it or break it. And with the help of a little mastermind that I had in my life at that time, like what are now my soul sisters, they were like, no, you're going to get up and do it every day, and it's going to work out. And it worked out. And I haven't generated less than 5 figures income since. So there's a part of my money story that was absolutely reset energetically because I've done really well. However, that doesn't mean that I kept the money or that I had money, because it seemed like I was starting over every month.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So even though I had good income and I was having good success, the consistency, it was something I was having to work for. And many times I felt like I was having to start over at the beginning of each month. You know how that goes. So
yeah.
Absolutely. So earlier this year, my personal relationships were on the outs. It's like the universe was, I realized that even though my business was growing and I was finding my voice more and more and more, I was not happy. Some things in my personal life were not happy. And so some things had to go. And next thing I found myself was without money for daycare. I had no money for daycare for my son. And this was February, just this February.
Yeah.
So that's and I had just launched a mastermind, and that was going really well. But personally, it was like, what is it about me that I can generate this good money, and then the next month I'm back at zero? And I literally was done. I was freaking done. I said, dear God, why is it that all these people I'm training and I'm coaching are passing me? Why are they passing me? Why am I struggling? Right?
Yeah.
And I'm too good for this. Like I'm done. Like if this is how it's going to be, I don't want it. And if I cannot figure out a way to be consistent with my business and get ahead of the game instead of having to struggle to just stay afloat, I'm going to get out by May. That was the exact conversation I had with the universe. That's the exact conversation. I was pissed off. I was pissed off at myself. Yeah. I was like, and also I was facing being a single mom. So I really had no choice but to really make this work. So I took myself to a hotel, and on the way to the hotel, this is where the part of the universe story starts, is that I heard a voice that told me, you only get what you have the capacity to receive. And it's funny because the voice always talks to me from like this side. and I was like, excuse me? I was like, I only get what I have the capacity to receive. Are you telling me that this 18 discovery calls I just had, of which all of them said no except 2, and those 2 had their bank accounts frozen, are you telling me that somehow I cannot receive this? Like and it all started making sense. Yeah. And immediately after I heard that voice, I was like, I have a capacity to receive that is not there. And I asked myself, how big is my capacity to receive right now? And I remember thinking that it was at like 40%. So if I asked you right now, like, how big is your capacity to receive? And you don't have to overthink it. Just blurt out a number.
It's the first thing that comes to mind, isn't it? And I always say, like, this is where we don't trust these voices. Like when we ask ourselves a question, the first thing that comes to mind is always our truth.
Right. And that's a scary thing because it's like, is that person good for me? No. And so we try to negotiate with that voice, and in my case it was 40%, and I said, wow, what can get through a 40% opening? Not a whole lot. And I remember having another visual which looked kind of like this. Like I literally saw a visual of the universe to the left, and I saw the galaxies. But what I saw was that the universe expanded infinitely, that there's nothing you can do to stop the expansion of the universe. No. And I connected the dots in like 2 seconds. I was like, wow, what if my capacity to receive was like the universe? It expands every day. There's nothing you can do to stop it. What if the nature of life is that you're supposed to expand infinitely, grow and evolve infinitely? And what if my bank account was like that? Yeah. And I just started saying, my capacity to receive expands infinitely like the universe. My capacity to receive. I was driving to this hotel that I booked, and I didn't even have the extra money to book that hotel for the weekend, but I knew I had to get away to figure it out. And I kid you not, within 30 minutes, I received a message from a client saying, hey, I want to book that $7,500 package. And I was like, yes. I was like, what? I was like, surely that didn't have anything to do with the mantra I just recited for like 20 minutes. That's a coincidence. So then I was talking to a friend on the phone, and I said, hey, I just had this epiphany. Will you repeat this? My capacity to receive expands infinitely like the universe. She's like, sure, I'll repeat it. So 45 minutes later, she texts me and said, you will not believe what happened. I just got a message from this random person saying that she wanted to hire me for a project that I've been after for a while. After she said the thing. And I was like, oh, this is too easy. Clearly, it cannot be this easy. So I went to the hotel, and I didn't do anything. I thought I was going to go there to meditate, journal, write out a vision or something. I didn't do anything. I just went to the hotel, and I was like, I just watched a voice, ordered room service, and that was it. And then I woke up the next day, over the next 4 days, I remember generating over $30,000 of referral of like people that just were coming to me left and right. And I was like, ooh, the plot thickens. What is going on here?
Yeah.
And 3 weeks after that, I started, I was telling people little by little, because you don't even know the story, so you're hearing it for the first time, but which is exciting, right? But I was terrified, because up until that point, my business was all about business coaching, a lot of marketing and messaging. Yes, I did life coaching as my background, of course, a career, and I'm NLP certified and a bunch of other things. But this was different. This was woo. It was like, okay, think about this, and then picture that. So everyone that I would tell them to, they would have a breakthrough. A woman in my mastermind that I told a story to, and she's like, oh my gosh, I can totally see that. And I just achieved all my entire month's goals in a week. So there were too many coincidences. So I decided to do a webinar where I told my story. And it went viral. I didn't even want to share it with the world because I was afraid of what people would think of me, because it was all kind of woo-woo, right? Kind of, sort of, but the results were very real, were very tangible. Well, next thing you know, I get like 40 messages in 4 days of people saying, while I was watching your webinar, I won a scholarship. While I was watching your webinar, I got a call from my attorney that a legal battle was resolved. After I watched your webinar, I did this. And I was just like, oh my goodness, what am I supposed to do now?
Crazy.
It was incredible. It was like, I was overwhelmed. I didn't know what to do. And that's when the journey really started for all this. So one of the reasons why I pretty much only wear blue or white.
It's the universal color.
It's because it's the universal color. And it's, like I said, this message manifested me because I'm able to break things down into very plain, tangible, non-coachy language. And people really resonate with that, or at least they resonate with me. And I feel like I'm meant to teach spiritual prosperity.
Yeah. Oh my God, spiritual prosperity. That just sounds amazing.
Yeah, and which then results in wonderful,
Okay, so I want to just take you back to even the idea to go to the hotel. So the thing is that in what I call the universal process and using universal laws and so forth, the thing is, and one of the biggest elements of working with the universe, and you'll probably laugh, is surrender and let go. I think when you made the decision to go to the hotel, even though you didn't have the money, it was an element of surrendering and letting go and just putting yourself first. And even though you didn't know how it was going to help you, you didn't, and so many people, they'll say to me, oh, I get the message, or I get the thought, or I get all this to go and have a sleep, or to go and go for a run or a walk or whatever. And I'm like, that is the signs that you need to follow. So for you, if you didn't follow the thought to go to a hotel, can you see that you wouldn't have never even had that happen? Because if you sat there and said, I can't go to a hotel, I've got to sit at home and create something.
That's such a great point. Absolutely. Or I have to force myself to make money, or I have to hustle.
Oh my God, that's the biggest thing ever. Everyone says, well, my action steps have to be all about making money. No.
Yeah. No.
You got the idea to go to the hotel.
Making the money is a byproduct.
Yes. It's the result, not the reason. That's what I always say. It's the result, not the reason. So if you actually say, well, I had this thought to go to a hotel, even though you didn't know how it was going to work out, you just followed that guidance.
Right.
Look at what happened.
It was the instant that changed my life. I mean, the size of the blessings that I've been getting are incredible. I mean, my life defies logic. As a matter of fact, I got to a point a couple of weeks ago that I was like, I can't keep posting about this because people are going to think I'm crazy. And then I noticed myself, I'm like, oh, you're shrinking, which is what I teach against. I'm all about infinite expansion, receive all of it. And here I am. I'm afraid, I'm scared to share how awesome things are. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. They can think whatever they want. I'm claiming my truth.
Yeah.
So it's really powerful.
Well, that is part of it as well, as actually speaking your truth. And so that's where I think also there would have been a turning point as well, even with you being honest with your family about the debt that you were in. You could see that things were starting to turn around, even just by being honest with them, being honest with yourself, being honest with them. Like, that is so important and such an important part of moving forward, is that honesty. And as we said, the first thing that comes to mind is always the answer, but we try and get in the universe's way.
Right. Yeah, we do.
We have to trust that what we're told is our next steps, is the next thing. But I want to talk to you a little bit more about, how did you switch from focusing on the money to being the infinite receiver?
Well, the first step was to say yes to the idea, to say yes to this concept, right? And I remember having a session with a dear psychic, a friend of mine is a psychic, and I said, what am I supposed to do? This means that everything could change. I was just promoting a business program, and now what am I supposed to do with this? Like, how do I monetize this? And she's like, I don't know how, but you got to do something about this. This is the most profitable thing you'll ever do. And I was just like, okay, I say yes. And by saying yes, then I got the idea to put a PayPal link in my Facebook group, and I said, listen, if you watched the webinar, you trust me, you like what you heard, I'm going to teach a 4-week class on this. I don't even know exactly what it's going to be about.
Oh, I love that.
With concepts, right? Because basically the downloads that I kept getting were that I just got this very crystal clear view of how us women especially are walking around blocking everything. So it's like I got this sort of matrix x-ray glasses where I'm like, oh my gosh, I can totally see how this is a block. This is how I'm actively shrinking my receiving capacity or shrinking my receiving channel. So I could see so many things like, when women feel bad because they're using their husband's money, or they're using 401k or retirement money, or they put stuff on credit. I'm like, you're totally blocking your receiving, because it is all the same source. It doesn't matter if it's not basically you're saying that if the money does not have your name written on it, if it doesn't come from a client or from a specific source, then it's not good money and you feel guilty, right? So you're basically discriminating the source, when in reality, the universe can deliver the foundation or the resources for you to create your dreams and generate and follow your path in any way, shape, or form. It could be the lottery, it could be an inheritance, it could be your husband right now, it could be a side job. And you're discriminating the source. Yeah. So that was the clear block to receiving, right? And so things like putting people on pedestals, or our language, like, I can't believe this is happening to me. Oh my God, like, that's the worst, most common easy block. So I identified like 20 some blocks of things that we say and do every day that are actively shrinking. So that also came to me with this idea of expanding our capacity to receive. And that's what I taught in the 4-week class. And I ended up signing 98 people.
Oh, God.
Which tells you that this is not for me. I mean, this is God sent, and I'm just the messenger. 98 people signed up, but 123. And I said, if you sign up with this PayPal link, is 123. When I do a sales pitch, it's going to be double. It was still extremely affordable. And I had ended up having 98 people that joined.
Yeah. Oh, that was like 2 years ago when I put something out there and 80 people joined using the same process you're talking about. You just have the thought and you go, that sounds cool, not knowing the hows. And I always say, let go of the hows. And this is, again, we always have to think we have to know everything. It's like, let go of it, just follow the guidance, follow the downloads, and just do it. Like, just do it. And
that's what I did.
Yeah, I had 80 people sign up for that, and I was booked for like 3 months. And I'm like, oh my God, how do I
remember, was it an offer in Lucky Bee?
Yeah.
I remember that. I think I had a session with you too.
Oh, it was actually I get that mixed up. It was 150 for that one. And then the next one that I had just after that, which was my distance clearing group, was 80 people.
Wow.
And I didn't know how that would work out, but that ended up working out to me doing 80 readings a week. That's what was gifted to me. And I'm like, oh my God, but I learned so much. And if we go into each experience with our expansiveness and our hearts open to receiving, and just knowing that there's no failure, it's just learning.
Exactly. And I would definitely say that I have infinite faith and infinite trust, for sure. I definitely have infinite confidence in the universe.
Well, when you say that you have to say yes, what that is it is trusting and believing that it's true. Right. And it will happen. Like, how powerful is that? And it's just a decision, right?
Well, and sometimes I have thoughts that come to me and I have to like write them down. Like when you say,
I've got these notebooks all over. You haven't seen my table. I'm the same.
I'm like, hold on, I need to write that down. Why? Because I try my best to go into just flow and channel and not censor myself or edit myself. And it's been a process, right? Because I come from the more of a business world, and but it's come through, and it just keeps coming through easier and easier. And I just wrapped up my 4th launch back to back since April. I did Infinite Receiving 1, then Infinite Receiving 2. I just wrapped up Infinite Receiving 3, and each time it's been like 98, then 120. I just got another 120 people, and the financial rewards are just a byproduct of the fulfillment.
As we're talking, your heart is expanding. Like, whenever you do these programs, it's not about the money, it's about the beautiful souls that come and join you, and they just open your heart with joy, right?
Yeah, oh, for sure. And it's funny because today I got this necklace from an infinite receiver, a woman that's in my program, and she's like, I haven't created any jewelry in a year, and I was inspired by you to create something, and she made me this blue necklace, and it has a key. So,
and it's above your heart.
Above my heart, yes, for sure.
It's cool.
So it's very special. I'm feeling the love, and for me, I think we all have something we're meant to share. And for me, I'm just so passionate about getting this message out to more and more women around the world, because it's a message of empowerment. It's a message of expecting everything and opening yourself up to receiving it, because we're taught to, not ask more than you share. Don't take more space than you're supposed to. Be humble. Basically, we have these mixed programs around, keep yourself in a box and don't be too much, or don't expand too much, because that's a threat to your role in society. And I am a recovering doormat.
Yeah.
I myself, this has been my own healing. And that's why I'm so passionate about teaching other women to receive, right? And drop the wanting so much, and just open themselves up to trusting the universe that what's out there for them is way bigger and more exciting than what we can ever ask for or try to manifest.
Yeah. I think the one thing that, people keep saying to me is, how do I get clients? And when you're working with the universe and you're working with energy, they come to you, don't they? You don't get them.
I haven't asked myself that question in a long time, like been a long time, meaning maybe 6 months. But when you said that, the first reaction I had was like, why are you asking for so little?
Yeah.
Like, please, people watching this, you're watching this, do not ask how to get more clients. Ask how you can change the world, or just ask a much bigger question so that you can get bigger answers. And because here's the thing, if you're helping millions of people, what do you think your bank account is going to look like?
Millions?
I mean, you know what I mean? It's going to be bigger than it is right now.
It's a byproduct, isn't it?
Yeah, and I would say, I really want to come up with a good reframe for this question, because you're right. Like, people ask this question all the time, like, how do I get clients? And I just feel like it's the wrong question, honestly.
It's the wrong question, yeah. And it's okay, so it's all around intention as well. So if you think about you creating Infinite Receiving, the intention behind it was that something worked for you and it was amazing and incredible. Your intention was just to share.
See, my intention was to shed old stories. Like, I was so done with my feast and famine story, because I knew I was better than that. And I felt like, how the snake has skin and it has to shed its skin every once in a while, right? And Joseph Campbell has a beautiful quote that says, the snake that cannot shed its skin must perish. And that's exactly how I felt back then. I felt like I was wearing this coat or this story that wasn't mine. And I was like, I'm a successful person. This is not my story. I'm not meant to struggle. And I was so desperate to take that skin off and to be like, I can't wait to be ahead of the game, to where I have all this money in my bank account and money is just not an issue ever again.
Yeah.
I would say that's a much more empowering question, right? Because at the time, I didn't know what I was looking for. I just said, dear God, help me get out of this feast and famine cycle, help me be just give me the next steps that can maximize and can really help me leave this story behind and help millions of people.
Yeah. And that's what happened.
That's what happened. So it's basically the quality of the result is going to be directly proportionate to the quality of the inquiry.
But I think the thing is too, like, or ask and you will receive, and that's what happens. But a lot of the times, and a lot of it is the programming that we are given, right? So it even comes down to there's not enough water on the planet. There's not enough food on the planet. There's not enough, looking into the universal plan, there is actually unlimited everything, because everything external to us is a mirror of what's going on inside of us. Right. So when you do feel infinite on the inside, then the external will be infinite.
Right. Yeah, it's like more stuff is coming to me. I love it.
Just talk to me anytime.
Are you sure that you're interviewing me, or this is just a co-creation? It's a co-creative process.
Well, it's always co-created because, from this entrepreneur series, you're actually the first person I'm speaking about this, because I remember when this happened, I got a download going, she's using the process. She's using the process that I'm teaching people, and people want to know how this works. Now, I was the only one who could actually say, this works like this. And it's
like, people, let me tell you, a bunch of 6 figures later, it works this way too. Here's the thing is, to me, my process is you have to say yes, and you have to let go of the how, because my theory is that that idea that you get, right, or that message or whatever it is, in my case, it was you only get what you have the capacity to receive. Built within that concept was also the solution, the communication plan, built within that. It was a complete idea, and I just had to sort of trust it and keep peeling away, right? Like just take one step and trust that the next one would come, which is very much what you teach. Yeah. But I think we don't trust that idea has built within itself the mechanisms to fulfill itself also. So I often say this, an acorn knows how to become an oak tree. Your idea knows how to become its highest and greatest expression. And honestly, it also doesn't have to become its highest and greatest expression. It doesn't have to. You just have to trust it. Date the idea. Date it.
It doesn't have to try. It doesn't have to be anyone else. It just has to be, right?
Yeah, I'm like, just fucking write it. Right? Here's the thing. People here, another part of the story that I didn't share that is extremely powerful, that really helped me see how I was not going to get everything I wanted. The third vision I had when I was in the car was, you only get what you have the capacity to receive. And I was like, wow, I'm so blocked. I can only receive at 40% right now. And I saw a visual of the universe, and I saw that it was expanding infinitely. And I was like, how if I somehow coded that my capacity to receive is like the universe and they're connected? And then I had a visual of Taylor Swift and Oprah. Naturally, of course, I'm seeing the galaxies and the cosmos, and then I see Taylor Swift and Oprah. But in my visual of them, I realized that I was like, wow, how do you get to a point where basically you're at the peak of your career, you're giving back so much, you're so adored, you're so loved, you have that amount and that level of success, right? Like a Taylor Swift, everything she touches turns to gold. And the instant download that I got in that regard was that, wow, what would it be like for people to have my picture in their vision boards in their bathroom? Because at the time I used to have my vision board in the bathroom. I was like, what would it be like to have so much fame and reach and impact that people are cutting you out, that you have paparazzi following you, that everybody wants a piece of you, that you get 10,000 notifications a day? And my instant reaction was hyperventilation.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's creepy. Oh my gosh, that's horrible. I was like, I can't even imagine that. And immediately I caught myself. I said, wow, that's what I want. And just the thought of it intimidates me and freaks me out and makes me hyperventilate. Well, no wonder I'm never going to get there. Yes. Or I'm not getting there fast enough. So to all of you that are watching this, what is the thing that you want most? And when you really step into that vision, what do you feel? Because it's not like, you look at the Lindsay Lohans of the world, that had all this fame and success so early on. They could not handle that expansion gracefully. They didn't have the support, didn't have the mindset, they didn't have whatever, right? Totally collapsed, yeah. Right? But then you look at other stars, you know, Jennifer Lawrence, Dakota Fanning, other people that have grown in their careers, that keep soaring to new levels, personally, professionally, philanthropically, just beautifully, right? They have been able to grow organically. So for me, what I realized is that my ego, or there's a part of me that could not even receive that vision, because just the thought of it would make me hyperventilate.
So what did you do? What did you do?
So immediately I was like, wow, I'll never be able to receive that if I start hyperventilating just thinking about it. So I was like, no, you know what? First of all, my capacity to receive is expanding. So although I don't have the capacity to receive all of Oprah right now, right here, right now, I want to get to that point. So I literally just started picturing that with my capacity expanding, that I would also be eligible, or that would be open to start receiving bigger and higher quality blessings. And I don't know exactly what the process was, but I do know that I got a free home. I got pretty much a free car, a free vacation to San Bart's. I just had, a week and a half ago, I had Lisa Nichols give me a huge testimonial on video, like things like that. You know what I mean? 2 weeks ago, I also got 2 meteorites that a dear colleague of mine sent me. And this dude is like, you know, like best friends with Jack Canfield and like people like that. So I'm like, yeah, yes, and more, please. So I say that a lot, more, like just more, right? And I'm not afraid to ask for more. Even though this is great, I want more. Yeah. So this is one of my hacks. I always say that. But yeah, it's like, you know, just the realization that I was hyperventilating and that I was feeling shrinking at the thought of my vision, I started shifting it. I was like, no, actually, universe and ego, thank you for protecting me for my own vision. I'm a grown woman. I can make my own choices. I want to grow to be like that. I want to grow to have that capacity to give and also to receive. Because for you to be able to pull off an Oprah or Taylor Swift talk, you know, singing to 40, 50,000 people every other night, you have to have a huge capacity to receive attention, receive love, receive the spotlight, receive that everybody wants a piece of you, right? And that's why I did a program that was 4 weeks, and I did daily calls, which I thought was crazy at the time. But I have been actively working on that vision of when I am traveling the world, doing book tours, speaking, I'm going to be meeting to meeting, a podcast to radio to TV interviews. So I might as well get used to that. So that's why I've been really busy. And now I have like 3 or 4 things on my plate on purpose, because I'm training that capacity. It's a muscle. It's just a muscle.
Well, that's the thing. It's the more you do, the easier it gets. And the thing is too, is looking at the associations. So before you associated, you know, Oprah and Taylor Swift with it, you know, being bombarded with the notifications and paparazzi following you, whereas you can turn it around to a different association, which is receiving love, receiving, you know, adoration, and it can actually feed your soul.
Yeah, no, and I think that's, you know, I totally see that. But at the time I didn't. I was like, oh, that's too much attention, the spotlight, like it's too overwhelming. How am I going to handle that? And I say that's what I want, really. So it was just a good realization for you to have. And that's something I take my clients through all the time and that every single one of you should go through it, right? Is really step into that vision and think of what the consequences would be, because your ego is protecting you from those consequences. And you can retrain your ego to say, no, you know what? Thank you so much for choosing for me. I know that you think that you're protecting me by keeping me small and safe and sabotaging myself. I get it. You're trying to prevent me from those potential consequences. Let me choose. I'm an adult.
Yeah.
I actually choose to experience that. I want to have my own experiences. Let me deal with that.
Yeah.
So just kind of like let me, you know, like allow it. And believe me, so I have a little process, you know, that I teach inside Infinite Receiving as well. To assess where your capacity to receive is and where the potential blocks can be. So that's kind of cool, you know, because one is the logical mind says, yes, I want to be Oprah, but are you ready to receive that?
Absolutely.
Well, I wasn't, you know, I wasn't, you know, as a matter of fact, I want to be a Mind Valley published author. And that's actually that's totally in the works. Like, absolutely, it's in the works. And the synchronicities that have happened without me intervening. I have crazy stories about that. It's hilarious.
Oh, wow.
Just wanted to connect me to Mind Valley. It's hilarious. I have to tell the story. I will in a second. But that's just a dream for me, right? And I'm not attached to. I would love to be featured in Mind Valley, and it can also be Penguin Books. It can also be, Simon & Schuster. I don't care. I'm thinking Mind Valley as a symbolism of getting this message out to millions of people. And what was I going to say? I forgot.
The story. Anyway, so
I had this visual, right, of Mind Valley, and I've been attending Awesomeness Fest, which is a great thing, and that's promoted by them. And when I was at the A-Fest event in May in Greece, I woke up one morning, I was literally cleaning out my ears. It's a personal story, but it has a good ending. And did you hear about this, Kim?
No.
Yes. So I woke up and I'm like cleaning out my ears, and the cotton part of the Q-tip gets stuck in my ear. Like, I'm cleaning my ears. I'm not even like rough or anything. I just like put it in, took it out. There's no cotton. Like, it's just a stick. And I was like, there's got to be a blessing in here somehow, because I'm in the middle of an island on vacation. I don't want to miss any sessions. Like, Lisa Nichols was speaking. Mark Hyman was speaking. I didn't want to miss any sessions. And here I am with a freaking piece of cotton stuck in my ear. So I'm in Greece, and I go to the reception. I go to my neighbor. They're like, can't see anything. There's tweezers, nothing. I'm like, there's got to be a blessing in this. I don't know. Maybe I'm supposed to meet someone. Long story short, the person that ended up taking me to the ER was someone that was so helpful. I gifted her infinite receiving. And like a few days later, she gets chosen to work with Vision directly on projects. And then next thing you know, my humble little program is on like this people's desks.
Wow.
And it was through the person that helped me get the cotton out of my ear and took me to the ER. So, so they're aware of it. And that's what I'm saying. It's in the works. Like, when it happens, if it happens, I'm not really sure. It's a done deal in my head. It's going to get out, and I'm just obeying. But it's a thing, and I could have gotten frustrated with myself and said, you're stupid. How did you do that? But my immediate reaction was like, this feels like a cosmic joke. There's got to be a blessing in this. And little did I know that was going to turn into, infinite receiving, causing like rumblings in Malaysia and Kuala Lumpur. I have like people asking me to write my book for me and things like that. That work for them. So
I think it's so important what you've said, and I really want to reiterate to everyone that for some reason, or not some reason, it's all programming, really, and that's why the world is in the mess that it is. And it takes us and the more people that really adopt and use these processes and these, what I call the way, they start to then realize that these are actually the way forward. This is the way the world is going to start to again receive the abundance that is available to everyone. And there won't be any lack, and there won't be any wars, and there won't be any of that. The world is going to completely change around if more people could, adopt what you're doing, and start to really start to live this. And whether money is the vehicle to that most people will come to you to be able to increase their income, it doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, these processes are so powerful, and working with the universe is so incredibly powerful that I want to just touch on the fact that when you did get the cotton wool in your ear, you turned it completely into a blessing, whereas most people will then turn it into a curse.
I love that. I gotta write that down.
Yeah. So what
no, I mean, that's what I do. It's just that, I love it when people put what I do. I was at an event with, have you heard of Matt Can? K-A. Yeah. I was at an event with him last Thursday, and the whole event was about receiving. 90% of it was about wanting versus receiving. And he was putting words to stuff that I do that I haven't put words like this. So when you said, turn everything into a blessing, not a curse, I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta grab that, because that's what I feel, that's what works. That's what works. It's the energy of saying like, wow, I wonder what I'm meant to learn from this, or who I'm meant to meet through this, right? Instead of fear and freaking out. It totally, I'm sure, had a lot to do with this, opening a huge door that would have taken me 7 or 8 years to get,
Which
to open.
In a way, like, because we've all been programmed that if you work hard and, you do this and you do that, then that's how it's going to work. But, the stories that you're telling and the experiences that we've both had, we've realized that it's the listening and the looking at every experience as good, not there's good or bad, right or wrong, is that every experience is good, and it always leads you to where you need to go. And that level of trust has to be in there to be able to say, well, even getting the cotton wool stuck in your ear is a blessing.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
You can say that losing the car keys is a blessing. The I don't know, whatever is happening is a blessing.
My shortcut is, how is this a blessing? Like, there's got to be a blessing in this. That I just say that immediately. Like, I just teach my infant receivers that. And like, when something does not go according to plan, you immediately say, what am I supposed to meet for this? Or how is this a blessing?
Yeah.
Because it's
if anyone could get anything from this, is that if they can try and convert adversity into a blessing, the world would look like a different place.
Yeah. I'm interviewing this guy named Eric Edmeades, he's like the Mind Valley's newest author, and he's amazing. I met him at Awesomeness Fest, and he taught something called the hindsight window, and it's basically it's exactly what we're talking about, and it's something that I'm so passionate about, is to not fall in the trap of the thing that is presenting itself to you as a potential roadblock or setback or obstacle. Like, to me, I've learned to see them as like, oh, got it. Like, just don't give it as much energy as I would have, because it's a test. It's a test of your faith. It's a test of your commitment. It's a distraction. It's a temptation. That's all it is. And it's just to test to see how committed you are to your hero's journey, right? And he teaches this thing called the hindsight window, and very similar to this. And he's speaking to my group in a couple of weeks, and his book is called The Hindsight Window. And it's basically, he teaches this hacks on how to turn the shed into the grace. Like the this into that, like the shorter the hindsight window is, the happier you'll be. And I'm such a big believer of that. And I always say, there's no testimonial without test.
Oh, it's just amazing. And they are what I call the vehicle, like whether it's money, weight, success, or lack of any of those, that's the vehicle to actually get you to where you want to go. And that's how you're going to get there. And so looking at these adversities in our life as the blessings to get us to where we need to go. And that's exactly what you said, is that when we actually choose to look at them differently, they lose the power of it being bad, and they actually look like an opportunity.
Of course. Totally. I love it. And I believe it too.
I just love you so, so much. And
I love you so much. You've helped me tremendously earlier on, especially like I remember a year or so ago that we worked together. You're so wise, and you're such a blessing to the world.
It's all channeled as well, so don't worry. I'm just the vehicle as much as you are, and we're so gifted to be able to do this work. And I think, just to be even that level of gratitude every day that we can do this. And like, you probably have the same feeling as I do whenever we go into our groups or we go and do our work. It's so much fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like I just got dumped over the weekend because I'm back in like the dating world. And I was just like, how is this a blessing? It wasn't as simple, it really wasn't, but I was like, how's this a blessing? How's this a blessing? Like, what am I supposed to learn from this? Because this happened, like 3 times already or something like that. And you don't understand, like the download I got Sunday night and the productivity levels that I've had since Monday have been such that I am on so much fire, you have no idea. And so somehow I needed a kick in the ass into this next, I call them awesomeness levels. I don't say upper limiting or anything. I'm like, no, I hit my awesomeness level and I'm ready to reach another level of awesomeness. And so, I'm just like in this massive, I guess it was fuel, or maybe I turned it into fuel to just be like, couldn't handle me or whatever. And so I'm just gonna, and I literally set my book in motion, started new programs, we're upgrading technology. I have so much going on. I couldn't be happier.
Oh,
and I tell my group this, and we can probably end it with this, but if I would have had this level of responsibility and with clients, 3 programs running at the same time, new program coming out, like a book, a tour. I'm starting a tour next week with Jen Scalia. I have a live event coming up in January. It's just a lot of stuff, all exciting stuff that I've chosen, right? But if I would have had this many ideas and wanted to execute as many of them 3 or 4 months ago, I would have burned out so quickly.
Wow.
I would have burned out so quickly because I didn't have the capacity to handle all that I can handle now. But I've been intentionally working on expanding my capacity to produce. Right. So that looked like me I literally did daily calls from April 20th till July 28th. So I have tons of content right now. So I've just been expanding my capacity to coach more, to speak more, to channel more, to sustain more, to work longer hours on purpose because I'm being prepared. Right. Mm-hmm. So people want what I have. And I'm just like, you're in the perfect place. You're the perfect entry point to start doing it. Just do more stuff, set bolder goals, go for them, and know that you're being trained.
Well, I think that's the next point I wanted to bring up, and that's probably what you do a lot in the Infinite Receiving programs is ritual and daily routines, which are really, really important to actually be able to consistently embrace these concepts. Because and I kind of go in between the human side and our wise side or our inner wisdom or the universal wisdom. And so often people do get stuck in the human side, which is, the negativity and the hard work and all that sort of thing. And they forget that they are infinite beings in an unlimited universe. And I think, with your programs, it's amazing because your programs do create a level of ritual so that people stay in that high vibration for longer periods and make Infinite Receiving a daily program.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely make it to where there's a lot of engagement. And before I had like daily calls, I'm not doing those daily things anymore. To me, Infinite Receiving is about becoming hyper aware. First of all, the first step is that you have to become aware of the ways that you're draining your power, shrinking yourself, and anything that closes you off to joy, you got to be aware of. And so the first few weeks is all about like, oh, this is how I'm shrinking, this is how I'm shrinking, this is how I'm shrinking. Because if you don't know that you're doing it, then you're not going to.
There's a lot of soul searching there, right?
Yeah, for sure. And it's really cool because I ask people all the time, like, so what's come up for you? And they're like, wow, I didn't realize I silenced myself so much in the office. I didn't realize that I feel bad for people. So I go try to rescue them. I didn't realize this. And I'm like, yeah, those are all blocks to receiving. So I give them 27 things that they need to be on the lookout for and they need to report back on. And so just to turn the light on in that darkness where they didn't even know that they were doing something that was draining them and taking their power away, that's the first step into empowering yourself to become a receiver. And I don't, I tell people ask me, like, do you meditate? And I said, no, my life is an active meditation. I struggle with that because I felt like for a while it's part of a cop-out for not waking up early and doing these rituals early on. But on the other hand, I feel like the reason why my life is an active meditation is because I'm an active monitoring of my energy. Because for me, what truly means to be an infinite receiver is to not be in resistance to life and who you really are.
Love that.
So for me, when I pick up on resistance or when I'm like, why is it not happening or whatever, it's much easier for me to shift it. Yeah. As before, it could have taken me 3 weeks or 3 months or 3 days to be in a funk and not able to shift it. Now I can throw a fit or be disappointed but also receive in that moment.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And I think that level of awareness is so powerful because a lot of people also say, I've been working on myself for 30 years and I'm not getting anywhere. And it's like when you are in that constant awareness that this is the journey and that, as you said, I keep asking for more and keep asking for more. It's because you don't get to an end. There is no end. It's a journey.
That's what I say. It's like I say this is like there's no end to how good you can have it, and there's no end.
Yeah, I love it.
And be because who wrote the rules on like, okay, life is a roller coaster, and you got to ride the good, you got to ride the bad, and there's expansion and contraction, all that. I'm like, I get that, and I've lived there, and I've paid my dues, and now I'm ready to, it's just like now it's good, and it's not like I haven't encountered resistance from life or things that were not planned but I have much less resistance to them, and I choose to receive instead of resist. And I realize
the reason why you have less resistance is because what you resist persists. So If you don't resist it, it doesn't happen.
For me, I can see the direct correlation between my opening to receive and my bank account, and the quality of relationships and the flow in my life. So for me, when I'm in resistance, I'm repelling.
Oh
right?
my God, absolutely. But everyone lives in resistance. Everyone's resisting. They've got fears and they've got, you know, they try and hold themselves back to try and be safe. But that's where stepping into your fears and embracing them, and even stepping into adversity. And as you said, looking at it from an awareness rather than, oh, it's happening to me, and looking at it as a blessing.
Awareness, you know, I teach this is like, get curious. Just get curious. Grab the popcorn, observe yourself, notice. Judging yourself, you know what I mean? You're not going to drop 30 pounds or 30 years of resistance in 30 days or in 3 minutes, which is what most people want to do. They're like, I'm going to hire this coach. I'm going to take this program. Everything's going to be fine. I'm like, you got to do the work. You know what I mean? I'm guiding you through it, but impatience is a huge block. Is a huge block to receiving, because impatience is you putting the expectation with your conscious mind and your brain out into the universe. That it needs to, that you're expecting it to happen a certain way. And if it doesn't happen a certain way, then you're not satisfied. Well, that's very limiting, because this conscious mind right here is just new, fresh. It has no clue.
Yeah.
We even just absorb like 20% of what's really going on in reality, because if we absorbed every stimuli, we would go crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, we put the expectation out there, like, it needs to look like this, it has to look like this, clients have to call me in, or I gotta get leads this way. I'm like, are you kidding? That is not your purpose.
But I love how you do that, because what you're doing is that you're not telling people how to do it. You're actually giving them the tools to be able to get it from themselves.
Yeah.
So if someone came to you,
that's how I'm doing it this round. The second round is way different. So I allow myself to keep evolving.
Oh, it's so much more empowering for people to get it for themselves, because, you know, as you said, if someone goes to you and wanting to lose 30 pounds or what have you, they're actually, if they go to someone to get them to shift it for them, they're actually taking the power away from their infinite self and putting that on someone else, where they've actually, the power is within and with this unlimited universe. So to be able to say to someone, oh, I want you to get me to lose 30 pounds. It's like, no, you do that and I will show you how you can do it. But it's always about, like you said, you give these people 30 days of awareness, like that gets them to know themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And I try to do that, because we all need that. You know, you need to become hyper aware and to know that I'm not going to come rescue you or save you or open up your channels. You have to become vigilant, and you have to know that resistance and being closed off, it's totally affecting every single thing in your life. And that's why I choose to keep expanding. And it's a journey, not a destination.
Yeah, love that. We could talk forever and we probably might have another chat in a couple more weeks' time, as we've got more stories to tell. I love telling stories, but I just love following your journey, and, you know, connecting to you energetically is just such a blessing to have you, you know, doing this work.
I love it.
So excited.
I mean, now my new mantra is, if it ain't fun or easy, I ain't doing it.
Oh, high five, sister.
I'm like, it's got to feel good. It's got to feel easy. And whatever that entails. And, you know, I've had this 4 back-to-back really awesome launches, and I haven't really stressed out about any of them. And they've gone amazing. And I feel
fun and easy equals money.
Oh, there you go. That's a good reframe. Write that down.
That's right.
That's true.
Well,
That's
it's actually true.
It is. It is, because there's no resistance to it. You know, I was just talking to somebody. I've had like 3 people scrap their whole like business plan and launches to just listening to it. I was like, are you not tired of hearing yourself saying that? Like, you can't even get through the whole outline without feeling exhausted. I was like, why would you do that to yourself and to other people? Do you not think that people pick up on the energy of things? Yes, they do.
It's everything. And as you know, even when you've got things deep down inside of you, the energy of it, as you said, blocks. And you don't even know what that is until you do that soul searching. And you do that, you have to do that daily, right? Connect to yourself daily. And, you know, if you ask someone, who are you? I can tell you 99% of the planet will not be able to tell you who they are.
Yeah. And I think we're discovering, you know, we continue to discover. I had no idea I was going to go this route, you know, 5-6 months ago. And so I'm glad that I've been open to receiving and that I keep asking bigger questions, not just how to get clients.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it, love you. Love our chats. We will definitely have another chat shortly.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing. I'm going to put all your details in the YouTube channel that people can, follow your journey as well, because it is an amazing journey. I want everyone to just connect to Maru's beautiful energy, because she's just divine. Soak in some of that infinite receiving. And thank you again, and we will see you really soon. Mwah. Thank you for joining
us so much. Thank you everyone for watching. If you have any infinite receiving questions, please tag me, add me, whatever.
Awesome, will do. Thank you, my darling.
Thank you for the invite.
Oh, anytime. Thanks, sweetie.